Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, Jira to CRM Integration, Connecting Sales, Support, and Development Team to Delight Customers. My name is Andres, and I'll be your host and moderator. I work with the marketing team here at GoToGroup, and I'm excited to be hosting this session today. I'm very pleased to introduce Carl Edwards. Carl is our product expert at GoToGroup, helping our customers get the most out of their Atlassian tools with the CRM plugin for Jira. He's currently working on a host of GoToGroup projects related to DevOps. Today, Carl is going to discuss ways to bridge the gap among sales, customer support, and development team, and help collaborate as they scale. He will also demonstrate how Jira can be seamlessly integrated with a CRM system like Salesforce using GoToGroup's CRM plugin for Jira. Just a few housekeeping before we get started. First, Today's webinar will be available on demand after the live session, so we will be sending you that link afterwards. Also, we'd love to hear from you during today's presentation. So if any questions come up during the session, please click the Q&A icon at the bottom of your screen and type the question into the Q&A box. We will bring them up after the presentation. And lastly, we'd like to encourage you to share today's webinar with the social network. So without further ado, I'd like to kick things off and welcome Carl Edwards. Carl, over to you.
Thank you, Andres. And hi, everybody. I'm Carl, and today I'm going to be talking about the importance and value of integrating Jira with your CRM system. I'd like to give a quick overview of the topics I'll be discussing before demoing our solution. So I'm going to be highlighting the value of integration to help explain the importance of what may be a seemingly trivial step in a typical company workflow. And then I'll discuss GoToGroup CRM plugin and how it works, followed by a quick live demo. So let's go ahead and dive right in. At GoToGroup, I've been working with lots of tools and a handful of different products. And with that, I've been learning the many ways that introducing microservices can positively transform a business. So I thought this was an apt analogy. I like to think of teams within a company kind of like microservices, these loosely coupled but still more or less independent groups that each have their own focus, but kind of collectively operate together to drive the company as a whole. When companies start scaling, or even if a company is already large or complex, the efforts that are put toward team integration and communication can get diluted. And that makes sense because successful operation for a company typically means putting customers at the forefront of the business. If those efforts are lost, then the complexities of having multiple teams or services can quickly reduce efficiency in workflows. Any amount of workflow and efficiency should translate to a reduction in customer focus. And what does that lead to? Unhappy customers. Broadly speaking, there are just a couple of simple things that should be done to prevent these inefficiencies. That's taking the time to analyze how teams within your company are operating and collaborating, and then using the right tools. And what do I mean by the right tools? Well, in many cases, there are loopholes and workarounds that can be done when a business wants to save money by not using third-party tools, even though they're specifically designed to perform certain tasks. So just as a very basic example, it'd be funny to think about manually having to write a letter to a coworker, assigning them to a task, and then walking it over to their desk every time you need them to do something. That'd be completely ridiculous. It's obviously much easier and faster to use a management tool like Jira, for example. That thought process should really be applied to every step of a workflow. And by doing that, you can really ensure that individuals and teams are communicating and operating efficiently and effectively. And this point leads us into integration. Of course, it could be simplified to mean the combination of multiple things, quote unquote, but what really is integration? What does it do? And why is it important? Well, integration enables process and workflow automation, and it allows for the sharing of data across teams, departments, and locations. When essential systems don't share data, they risk miscommunication that may result in data loss, redundancies, really any other inequalities that may not only hinder team efficiency, but could potentially even have a negative impact on customers directly. So by correctly integrating the right systems and tools, the result is a workflow being streamlined. Critical software applications failing to share data also often results in an increase in requirements for teams to perform manual processes. Without integration, teams have to create routine workflows to generate system reports, audit them, and then do things like send them to IT or development teams to handle the data for input into an issue tracking system. To make it short and sweet, integration basically just enables data sharing and helps prevent teams from having to spend hours manually managing data and creating processes. So by lessening the time spent on those peripheral tasks, teams can narrow their focuses on their actual end goals. To enable the best possible customer experiences, every department and every staff member that may interact with the customer will need access to the same data. In most cases, this means accessing the information via multiple software applications. Well, what does this all mean? Teams are kind of challenged to bring order to chaos to ensure that their business value of integration is recognized. There are many types of integration approaches. These are just some to name a few. And each has its own advantages and disadvantages. The company should decide which are appropriate for their organization and in what situations. They should ensure that project teams are using the right technology for the chosen type of integration delivery, and then they can finally define and apply the correct level of governance for the chosen type of integration delivery. Now that I've given you a bit of background on the importance of team efficiency and integration, I'll talk about our solutions to these obstacles and how they may relate to your business. GoToGroup CRM plugin provides a means of collaboration between customers, support teams, and development teams by seamlessly connecting one of the world's top issue tracking systems, Atlassian's Jira, with some of the best customer relationship management service providers. Just to quickly give an idea of what kinds of teams may benefit from our solution, before I dive deeper, these are just a few common use cases from our customers. Cases created by support teams are instantly available to development teams, and information flows bidirectionally between Jira issues and CRM systems with our plugin. The fields that you want to copy between the systems can be easily defined and configured. Unlike other services, our plugin is very simple to set up, and it comes with a few common fields that are already configured so that you can get started right away. We support compatibility with Salesforce, Microsoft Dynamics Online, and Sugar CRM, and the plugin itself is embedded in the Jira server. Our pricing model is based on an annual license rather than the number of users. We've had a lot of positive feedback about this because it means that a company's expansion won't result in added expenses for plugin use from us. Another distinguishing element, not just about this product specifically, but for the company as a whole, is our technical support team. We absolutely strive to deliver prompt and effective services and support to our clients on a personal level. So how does it work really? To get started, you can install the CRM plugin from the Atlassian Marketplace. Out of the box, all you need to do is enter your license key and then your CRM username and password. As I mentioned before, there are a handful of commonly used field mappings that we've already defined to get you started. There are two ways to copy data between the systems. The plugin has a cron service, and that allows you to set a time interval for the plugin to periodically pull the CRM database for changes and automatically copy them back to Jira. And then you can also create a custom button in your CRM system that, when clicked, will sync specific CRM records back to Jira. You can choose which method is more suitable for your company's needs, and you can even use both if you wish. It's really up to you. A common thing is to use a custom button to create new Jira issues from your CRM system and then use the cron service to keep those issues up to date, which you can do by configuring the cron service to only update issues, as opposed to creating and updating Jira issues. So first you need a case or an issue, obviously. So here I've created an example case using Salesforce as my CRM system. Take note of the fields and their values displayed in the image on the right if you wish, because I'm going to be showing the same values copied back to Jira in just a moment. If you have the cron service turned on, a new issue will automatically be created in Jira. So now that we have this ticket, I'll just call it, for a customer, that although created by a customer support team member, now has its information available outside of the CRM system for the development team to reference. If we take a look at Jira, you can now see that a new issue has been created and that the fields are configured to be copied, show the values that were filled in Salesforce before. And if you can't read this, don't worry. I'm going to be showing the demo of the same idea. As I said before, data flows bidirectionally. You can configure which fields you want to be copied from your CRM system to Jira and vice versa. If there are specific fields that you want to only flow unidirectionally, you can do that as well. As you can see, by integrating these systems, a lot of the potential for miscommunication and manual work can be reduced and eliminated, effectively increasing workflow efficiency. So finally, I'm going to give you a brief demonstration to show you in real time how easy it is to use our plugin. So on the left, I have Jira open, and on the right, I'm using Salesforce for the CRM system. I can create a new case, pick a record type, and I'll just fill out some of this information so that you can see it copy back. So I mentioned the cron service before, and the custom button as well. Right here, I have a custom button set up in Salesforce. So when I click it, it will create a new issue in Jira. And now you can see both fields. All right, well, that's about all I have for the plugin demo. So I will turn it back over to you, Andre. Thank you, everybody, for watching.
Thanks, Carl. It's now time for Q&A. So if you can type them into the Q&A box at the bottom of the control panel, we can start getting to those. All right. So we have a few questions here to get to. First one would be just a little more insight on data and synchronization. So how does data between Jira and CRM systems synchronize? Is it in real time?
Yeah, so once a Jira issue has been linked to a record in the CRM, any changes that are made to the issue in Jira are immediately copied to the record in CRM. It does this by listening for Jira issue events, and then it copies the added or changed data to the CRM using the CRM system's web services.
Awesome. Let's get to another one here. Another question here is, can you please describe the data flow direction? Does it support bidirectional or unidirectional?
Yeah, it supports both, and it's up to you to configure how you would like data to flow. You can create issues or cases, whatever you would like to call them, on either side and have them sync to the opposing system. So you can create an issue in Jira and have it sync to a case in Salesforce, and vice versa, like I demoed. And the same thing with specific fields and elements as well.
All right, thank you. Another question here. Can you link multiple Jira tickets to one SFDC case?
Yes, you can.
All right. Another one here. Can you customize the sync per project, or is it all or none on the fields?
Can you rephrase that a little bit?
Sure. If the person would like to retype it, or I can reread. Can you customize the sync per project, or is it all
you
or
can
not?
So you can have a default project specified in the plugin setup, where if you don't want to pick through your Jira projects when you're trying to sync a case, you can have an automatic default case that all new issues will go into. But you can choose specific projects when you're creating cases as well.
Okay. Thank you. We'll keep the questions going. Could you explain how does the data get copied between Jira and CRM?
Yeah, I kind of hit on that before. The CRM plugin does this by listening for issue events, and then it copies the added or changed data to the CRM system using the CRM system's web services.
Thank you.
Hi, this is Marites. We have a question here from another audience.
Sure.
Okay.
Can you map data rules different for case type, or is it a system setting that applies to all?
You can map different rules for different case types. You just have to specify. You would have to map each field. If that made sense.
Yes, thank you. Another question here. Is it possible to create a case field in Salesforce to specify which project the linked Jira issue would be created in?
Yeah, I think that's what I was interpreting one of the last questions as. So yes, all you have to do is create a field mapping from the Salesforce case field to the Jira project field. So whatever that field is that you've created in Salesforce.
Thank you. Let's see. We have, is it possible to control permissions for the case field in Jira?
Yeah, you can edit the case field in the plugin's record definition screen. There's a settings, there's a heading under the settings there with options that allow you to specify which groups can edit and or view the field. So by default, all Jira users hypothetically have access. So when you add a group or multiple groups, the members of those groups would then become the only users with the permissions. Also, not necessarily the same question, but kind of related. You can also set the field configuration context to be project specific. So that would indirectly give only the users with access to the project the access permissions.
We also have another question here.
Okay.
Can you create a case from Jira to Salesforce? So just now you have shown us how to create the service ticket from Salesforce, but how about creating a case from Jira to Salesforce?
Yeah, you can set that up. I can show you really quickly just because it won't take much time at all. But if I wanted to create a new case, I have this configured for my Jira create issue screen for this project where I can select new case and it will create a new case. And then I could input account and contact information. And create. If I go back to my cases over here in Salesforce, you can see it show up right here. And when you make changes on the Jira side, you shouldn't have to manually force any changes over to Salesforce. So if I wanted to change the priority, for example, from medium to high, I can refresh Salesforce. And now my priority is high.
Thank you, Carl.
Of course.
Let's see if some questions. So is it Is it possible to only synchronize certain projects within Jira and leave the others untouched or unsynchronized?
Yeah, yeah. If you want to set that up, you can configure your field mappings to only include specific projects.
Question here. Is it possible to enforce having a one Jira ticket per case relationship for, say, project A, but for project B, we were able to link many Jira issues to one case?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that? The audio broke up a little bit.
Yes. So is it possible to enforce having one Jira ticket per case relationship? So, for example, project A, but for project B, they were unable to link many Jira issues to one case.
Yeah, you can link multiple issues to an individual CRM case. That is possible. You look in the user interface settings. I believe it's called multiple CRM linking.
Okay. All right. And I'm not sure if you touched on this, but can you map and synchronize fields like comments and attachments?
Excuse me. Yeah. Yes, you can. So basically, you just have to have a custom object that supports comments and attachments. And then all you'd have to do is set the copy comments and copy attachments options to sync between systems.
Okay. We have some great questions coming in. Another one here is, can a ticket be created automatically on Jira once a case is created on Salesforce without having to click Sync with Jira custom button?
Yes, so that's what our cron service does. You can specify a time interval that you want the CRM plugin to pull your CRM database. So every minute, for example, is what it is by default. Every minute it will pull for new data, and any new data will be synced back to Jira. So any new cases will create new issues.
Thank you. All right. Let's see. And wanted to see if you had touched on control permissions. So is it possible to control permissions for the case field in Jira?
Yeah, I think I touched on that before. You just have to edit the case field under the record definition screen, the CRM record definition screen. And then there's a heading that allows you to change which groups can both not only edit, but edit and view the field.
Any insight on when we'll be cloud ready?
At this point, I am not aware of any statements that we have regarding if and when a cloud version of the CRM plugin will be available. It's something that's been discussed, but I really can't comment on where we stand with that.
Thank you. All right. I think questions, if any more questions come to mind.